Hey everyone. So I don't know if you've ever heard of this festival called Burning Man. I've never actually been to Burning Man, but I know people and I know the kind of sub community that goes to Burning Man. And it's a festival out in the desert where people, escape the constraints of the world and live in an alternate sort of world. And so when they come back after Burning Man, there's this process that people describe called a decompression, where you have to bring yourself back into the real world. And so I feel like that's what's happening. So for me, coming back from Adobe Summit, and I'm trying to catch up on all my meetings. When you're gone a couple of days, like everything backs up. So I only have 12 meetings until my next meeting, minutes until my next meeting. But I wanted to just download all of the upload, whatever, remove all the thoughts that are in my head that are swimming around from the event, so that later I could go back and kind of make sense of it. So I'll walk through sort of the timeline of how I experienced this event, and then I'll do my takeaways, surprises, etc. So I fly in on Monday, and when I arrive, you're flying into Las Vegas. When I arrive in baggage claim, the entire airport ad space, which is digital, is not just a static thing. It's an interactive, like moving animated thing. The entire thing is Adobe, and it's all perfectly timed, perfectly synced, perfectly aligned. The messaging and the marketing and the product positioning, all of it was perfectly targeted. Like they were very crisp. Lots of people during the event were saying like they're a marketing company, they're a creative company. Not only do they provide the tools and the software, but as marketers and as creative people, they're really good at it. So like I hadn't even got my suitcase yet, and I'm walking into the baggage claim and I'm seeing the messaging in the taxi or in the Uber. They were running ads in the front, in the screens, where you can like pay and stuff. There's those screens in front of you for Adobe. When I got into my hotel, there's this thing in Vegas called the Sphere, which is just amazing. It's like a huge, like a concert size hall size thing, like massive, like a building, like a skyscraper. Like it's a massive, huge, half of a dome on top of the earth. And they project things on it and it's a screen, but it's a dome. So Adobe marketed on that. So you're getting it in the airport. You're getting it in the cab or in the taxi ride. You're getting it outside your window when you open up your drapes. It's everywhere. They have wristbands, they have things on the thing, they gave you jackets, everybody's wearing like the way that they unified the marketing for that event. Crisp tops. Okay, so that was amazing. So the first night is a partner mixer. So you go into this like outdoor beachy area where it's very like tiki torches and pool and all of that. And they've got upbeat music playing and everybody's walking around. And that's like the first time where you get to see people or meet people that you only work with remotely. So that was a really big thing that I heard a lot of people talk about, was they were so glad to finally get to see people that they only work with through digital channels. So humans still want to connect to other humans. Face-to-face really does matter. It is worth it. And that was evident in those moments of like I'm not even a hugger. I don't want other people to touch me. Just don't. But because I've built such a relationship with these people through email, through Teams, through all these projects that were going on together, the first thing I wanted to do when I saw them was hug them. So I may have hugged people without even asking them, like, can I hug you? I just went for it. So we get to see each other. You see things about people that you didn't know, that people can hide certain aspects of their personality behind these artificial fourth walls. But when you're face to face, all that goes away. And so people's true nature comes out and you get to see dynamics. You get to also see things like, for me, there's people that I thought were like my allies, my friends, people I could trust and people I could work with. And when I met them in person, was surprised that there seemed to be a distance or not that allyship that I had thought we had. So I worked during the trip to try to improve that, because that was a goal for me going there, was not only am I going to learn all the things that are going on with Adobe and hear what other people are having to say, I'm going to get to see all my competition and see what they're saying, what they're doing. And then I'm also going to get to see people, and I want to bring my team together. I want to be a unifier. I want to be a conduit for togetherness. So that was an objective of mine that I really was focusing on doing. Okay, so the first day, our company hosted a special sponsored event at a donut shop. Not just a donut shop, but imagine like the most elaborate, fanciest bakery you can imagine, and then make donuts. Visually beautiful art, delicious art of sugar and fluff and cream. And the people that ran it were amazing. So, and it's a staple in Vegas, in the Venetian. So the Donutique, shout out to them. They did a fantastic job. And so we spent 4 or 5 hours in the morning just trying to get people to come in from outside to hear what we had to say, to get a free donut, get a free coffee. And that was hugely successful. I might have got us in trouble though, because they told me your goal is to get as many people to notice as and to get them to come into the coffee shop. So I happen to be wearing a very bright red dress, and I'm also 5'8". So when I put my arms up, I take up a lot of space. I'm very noticeable, and I have a theater training, so I can be loud when I want to. So I loudly directed people into the coffee shop, and apparently the other businesses weren't too happy with that. Also, keep in mind, this was like a very upscale section of a lot of expensive stores. So whatever, free donut. I mean, you asked me to get people in, I'll get people in, but it may not have been the way that they wanted to. So I had to dial that back. But anyway, after we met people, then I worked the booth. And so there's a community pavilion where all the vendors are, and it's like a huge area, and everybody has a booth. And depending upon how much money you spend, your booth is bigger or smaller. So I stood in front of the booth. I walked around. I got to take a lot of things in. Then there was getting together with people in the evenings and different events. Everybody was going all over, people texting each other, like trying to make schedules come together, because that was another thing that I remember being told at the beginning, since this is my first big event like this for Adobe. Be flexible with schedules and with how things go. Client says they're going to come at 2. Maybe they don't come at all. Maybe they come at 5. Like, just be flexible. So, so you're meeting up with people. I got to see people that I felt like had been instrumental in the success of my career, and I get to connect with them. That was great. So the things that I really, there's multiple different kinds of passes that you can have. And the pass that I had was booth staff, which means I did not have access as an attendee. I didn't get to go to sessions. I didn't get to hear the things that were happening from Adobe's side or from case studies from Adobe, but I did get to mingle with the attendees, and I get to see what the other people were doing at the other booths. So the first thing I looked for was, what are themes that I'm seeing a lot, phrases, and obviously if you might not be surprised, but like agentic AI was everywhere. Too much everywhere. No real value behind it other than like they just slap a buzzword on something, and that's what's on the booth. So that didn't do it for me. I actually heard people in the security line going back, making fun of that a little bit, saying they were behind me and I overheard them. They were saying like, "Oh, revolutionize, oh, strategize." I mean, they're just making fun of the buzzwords because they're what are they? They're empty. They're words. And then what is not being said? What is missing? Because I want to fill in the gap as a innovator and a product manager at heart. I want to fill in the gap. And I want to look for the themes, because I want to look for what are people expecting. So I remember back in my UX days, I learned the reason why there's patterns in the way you do a nav, patterns in the way you do a hamburger, patterns in the way people scroll or whatever, is because there's an expectation that's built that this is how things are done. And so when you deviate from that, it has to be for a very good reason, because what you inevitably do is you break the expectation and you cause friction and you cause unexpected patterns. So if there's a way that the market is messaging us about a specific topic, one-to-one, whatever, if you deviate from that and you're not, then they might not hear you. So you want to be in the target, but you want to be the arrow that's missing. You don't want to be the arrow where everybody's throwing the same arrow in the same place. You want to be like in the target, but with a different arrow. So yeah, I would love to download more. I've got 3 minutes left. phrases that I heard from other people. One of the things I would ask people when I would meet them was, how you liking it? How's it going? What do you think? Have you been here before? Just because I don't want to hit them with the hard sell immediately. And a lot of people will say, like, it's overwhelming. It's a lot. I'm trying to take it all in. I want to absorb it, but it's just too much. And that's how I feel. I think that's why I wanted to do this little decompression. It's very noisy. And I didn't see anything specifically stand out for me where I was like, wow, that's really special and unique. I'm seeing a lot of the same things, and it's very loud. So that's my immediate takeaway. And I'm hoping that as I absorb a little bit more, and I also hear back from my team over the next couple of weeks of what they thought, that we were able to use that information to help drive us for decision making for the choices that we make in the next year. So whatever. It's also pipeline. So I hope some of these turn into cool accounts that I get to work on. I'm selfishly going to be grabbing all of the data and AI things as much as I can. And well, anyway, have you been to an Adobe Summit? What was your takeaways, and what did you think? Is this similar to what other conferences are like? Let us know.